Hello, welcome to the Good Way podcast. I am your host, Holly, and I'm so glad that you're joining me. Today, we're going to explore some stories, music, poetry, things that are good, true, and beautiful. Hello, and welcome back. Let's start with the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I hope you're doing well today. I wonder how it's going with memorizing Psalm 100. Well, I have a copy of it in front of me. You can grab your Bible or maybe a sheet if you have written it down or printed it out. I want to draw your attention to one little thing today. Now, a couple weeks ago, when we were listening to This Is My Father's World, Jeff pointed out that it's helpful to look for something called repetition. When something repeats, when we see it show up over and over again. And this is often important because it allows the author of the song or the psalm or the poem to draw our attention, to point out and say, hey, this is important. Listen up. Well, in Psalm 100, the author does just that. I want you to take a minute and look over this psalm. Do you see any words that show up a lot? All right, I'm going to pause. All right, what'd you find? I was looking at it and I noticed the pronoun he, talking about God. And I'm going to say he, his, him. Those are all talking about the same thing. They're all talking about the Lord or God. Would you read Psalm 100 with me? And let's pay close attention to all those little he, him, and his words in the psalm. Psalm 100. Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord, he is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name, for the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back with you again. We're looking at the hymn, This Is My Father's World. And by now, I hope you've been able to listen to it a few times. Maybe even you've had a chance to read it a few times. Maybe some of you have even begun to memorize it. Last week we looked at verse 1, and today we're going to look at verse 2. But before we do, I wanted to share a little bit about the author of this hymn. Did you know before it was a song, it was actually a poem? It was written by a man named Reverend Maltby Davenport Babcock, and he was a lover of nature. How many of you are lovers of nature? Yeah, I would probably put myself in that category. If you love trails, if you love seeing big trees, if you love climbing rocks, if you love going to the beach and playing in the waves or building a sandcastle, then you would probably be considered a lover of nature. And Mr. Reverend Babcock was a lover of nature. He lived in New York in a beautiful area where there was all kinds of trails, and often he was known to say to his wife, well, I'm going out to see my father's world. So he was going out just for a hike or being out in the beauty of nature, and he would tell his wife that's where he's going, right? What an attitude, what a reminder of what it's like when we go out to the world to know who it belongs to, right? So he wrote this poem, and verse 2 today, that's what we're going to talk about. It says, This is my Father's world. The birds their carols raise. The morning light, the lily white, declare their Maker's praise. This is my Father's world. He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass, I hear him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. I think that last line, He speaks to me everywhere, is so comforting and such a good reminder for us. When we go out and we hear birds singing, we can think to ourselves, what are they singing about? Why are they singing? Who made those birds? And we already know the answer, don't we? When you see the beautiful sunrise or beautiful flowers, this song is speaking of what we see even today, in that the beauty of nature is a gift from God, right? He shines in all that's fair. All the good things in this world are from our Father. Even in the rustling grass, we hear Him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. I hope you think of that the next time you're on the soccer field or you're out playing and you see the grass or the wind move the trees or the bushes. Remember, those types of beautiful things and those good things are from our Father, and we are thankful to live in our Father's world. All right, I hope we have a wonderful week, and I hope that you continue to listen to this song and take it to your heart. This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings, and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world. I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas, His hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world. Their birds their carols raise, the morning light, the lily white, declare their Maker's praise. This is my Father's world. He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear Him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me ne'er forget that though the wrong seems oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died shall be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one. This is my Father's world. The battle is not done. Jesus who died shall be satisfied, and earth and heaven be one.
This is a story of Pygmalion and Galatea. There was once a sculptor whose name was Pygmalion. He loved creating statues more than anything in the whole world. Nothing made him as happy as looking upon his sculptures. He was certainly pleased when other people admired his work, but just knowing that he had created something beautiful out of an ordinary rock or slab was enough for Pygmalion. He spent nearly all of his time in his artist studio. While there were plenty of young women who would have happily married him, he was too busy creating statues to fall in love. After all, none of the humans he had ever met could match the beauty of his creations. Well, after many years of creating, Pygmalion discovered that he had an unfamiliar feeling in his heart. He was lonely. He looked out upon the town and wondered if he was missing out on something. From the window, music and voices floated into the silence of his studio. He was surrounded by mute statues who could never speak to him. He sat with these thoughts for a while, and then he came to a conclusion. He would continue to do what he had always done, but this time he would create something new. He would ask the goddess of love, Venus, to bless his work. Well, she heard his request, and she filled his mind with visions of the most beautiful woman. She touched his chisel, giving it the skill to carve the stone just perfectly to match the vision in his head. Then she left him to his work. Day after day, the rock was transformed from a tall block of marble into a woman. With each look at his statue, Pygmalion became more and more enamored by her. He worked from dawn till dusk, anxious to get every little detail just right. All day he would think of nothing but the statue, and all night he would dream of nothing but her face. Quite simply, he was obsessed with her. One day, when Pygmalion was nearly finished, he decided to take a break and go for a walk outside. It was spring, and the flowers were blooming, the birds were singing in the trees, the sun shone down on the countryside. It was a beautiful day. But Pygmalion couldn't enjoy it. All he could think about was his statue. Before long, he turned around and sprinted back for home. He worried about her, and then suddenly realized he was talking about his statue as if she were a human. He returned to the studio, bursting through the door to find the statue exactly where he had left her. He picked up his tools and continued his work. As the sunlight faded and evening set in, Pygmalion set down his tools and sighed. I am hopeless. My statue has revealed to me that I can indeed love, but she is only stone. She cannot return my love. How unfair and miserable my life is. The next day, he moved the statue into his home. He put her up on a pedestal and clothed her with rich garments, and placed bracelets and jewels on her arms and hands. He bought the most beautiful necklace he could afford and hung it from her neck. Every morning when he woke up, he would run into the garden to collect flowers to lay at her feet. He would talk to her and read stories to her. Though he had never fallen in love with a human woman, he couldn't help but love his statue. One day, Pygmalion opened the windows of his house and heard singing outside. There was a parade going down the street. It was a celebration in honor of the goddess Venus. As he watched, he remembered all the stories he'd heard about Venus, how she had come to the help of those who worshipped her and given them their heart's deepest desires. He grabbed a cloak and ran out into the street to join the crowd. He had never participated in a parade before. People were throwing flower petals into the air and singing and dancing. But having nothing to lose, Pygmalion joined in. Finally, the procession reached the temple, and the statue was returned to its place on the altar. The people filed out, and Pygmalion was left alone. He fell to the floor and poured his heart out to the statue of the goddess. "O Venus, goddess of love, please hear my cry. I beg thee, give me the desire of my heart. Make my true love become human." Tears filled his eyes as he waited for a sign that the goddess had heard him. But none came. He shook his head, thinking about how foolish he had been to ask a statue to be made into a human. He picked himself up and walked back home. Along the way, his heart became even more sad and lonely as he saw happy people in the streets, walking hand in hand, singing and dancing together, enjoying the love that they shared. He opened the door to his house as always. It was perfectly silent. He thought that perhaps he should go and say goodnight to the statue, as he always did, but his heart was so full of sorrow he could only manage to walk to his bed and sit down. The one he loved could never love him back. As he leaned back to close his eyes and sleep, he had a sudden thought. He realized how crazy his request to Venus had been. Love and companionship only have meaning when they are returned. His love for the statue had revealed his need to be with people. He could no longer live in his studio of statues. He must learn to love another human. He prayed to the goddess again, asking her to send him a human that he might love. A smile spread across his face, and he felt hope fill his heart. A moment later, he heard a footstep outside in the hall. Then a voice called his name. "Pygmalion, is that you?" The voice was unfamiliar to him, and yet he answered, "Yes, it is I. Who are you?" "I am Galatea. Venus has heard your prayers. She brought me to life so that I may become your wife." Pygmalion was astonished. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. He looked up and saw that it was her, his statue. But instead of looking upon him with cold eyes, she now had eyes that sparkled when she looked at him. She reached out her warm hand and he took it in his own, and they lived happily together for many, many years. I wonder what you think about that story. Did you enjoy it? What did you think about Pygmalion? Did you think he was a little crazy? Do you think you would have done the same thing that he did if you had been a sculptor? Well, even though the story is a bit unlikely, it still gives us a lot to think about. Today's poem is from Elizabeth Barret Browning. It's called A Child's Thought of God. They say that God lives very high, but if you look above the pines, you cannot see our God. And why? And if you dig down in the mines, you never see him in the gold, though from him all that's glory shines. God is so good he wears a fold of heaven and earth across his face, like secrets kept for love untold. But still I feel that his embrace slides down by thrills through all things made, through sight and sound of every place. As if my tender mother laid on my shut lids her kisses' pressure, half waking me at night and said, "Who kissed you through the dark, dear guesser?" Elizabeth Barret Browning was an English poet. She was sick for most of her life, and at one point she was even thrown from a horse and had to lie flat on her back in bed for years. She didn't get to go to school, but that didn't keep her from reading and writing. She became a famous poet and created all sorts of wonderful poetry that you might enjoy. Even though her circumstances were quite difficult, it seems her imagination was quite healthy. Here's A Child's Thought of God by Elizabeth Barret Browning, one more time. They say that God lives very high, but if you look above the pines, you cannot see our God. And why? And if you dig down in the mines, you never see him in the gold, though from him all that's glory shines. God is so good he wears a fold of heaven and earth across his face, like secrets kept for love untold. But still I feel that his embrace slides down by thrills through all things made, through sight and sound of every place. As if my tender mother laid on my shut lids her kisses' pressure, half waking me at night and said, "Who kissed you through the dark, dear guesser?" That's all I have for you this week. I hope you'll join me next time. I want to leave you with a blessing. This is from 2 Corinthians. And God is able to bless you abundantly, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Till next time, don't forget to look for the good way and walk in it.